Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
Hi guys, I'm May.
And I'm Brian.
And we are the Keto Wizards. Today we are going to make a Tres Leches cake. Tres Leches, which means 3 milks. It is a popular Mexican cake.
Yep.
It's delicious. It's basically where you make the foundation of a cake and then you have 3 milks that you put in the cake that are absorbed into the cake that give it almost a custard texture to it. The reason I wanted to do the Tres Leches cake today is because we are making our green chili verde, so I was feeling a little festive. Yeah, I was feeling festive, and I just finished watching Cobra Kai, and they had it in that.
It was really good. What's it called again?
Tres Leches.
And normally, I like to celebrate a half marathon, which I just completed yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. With a cake. And I can't have it when it's keto, so I decided let's do a keto version of Tres Leches. It's the combination, it's 3 reasons, 3 milks.
Awesome, I love it.
So we are going to start with the cake part first. And what we're going to do, the main ingredients we have here are almond flour. We are using grass-fed whey protein powder. And if you have any sort of protein powder on hand, that's great. The recipe that I'm using today, I will link below. In that recipe, they did say to use a vanilla flavored protein powder. I'm sure that can boost up your vanilla flavor, but since we already had just our plain protein powder on hand, which I think is a little more versatile,
right,
we're just going to use the plain protein powder, which I've already measured out over there. So we're going to get some of these out of the way. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix our dry ingredients first. So we're going to start with, we have 1 1/4 cup of almond flour. This is blanched almond flour that's got a fine grind, so it's a nice flour. So we're going to do that.
And this is the whey protein?
That's the whey protein. That is a 1/4 cup.
About a 1/4 cup.
1/4 cup of the whey protein. We have a 1/2 teaspoon of salt there.
Just using kosher?
That's kosher salt. And then we have 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So that's going in there. And we're going to give that a little mix. And a separate bowl, we're going to mix our wet ingredients. We're going to start with 1/2 cup of unsalted butter. So 1 stick of unsalted butter. We're using Kerrygold's Irish grass-fed butter.
That's delicious.
You want to soften it to room temperature. That makes it a little easier to whip in. So try to let it sit to room temperature. Okay, next we're going to add some vanilla. The recipe says 1 teaspoon of vanilla, but if you don't have the vanilla protein powder, you might want to add a little more, just depending on. But I'm just going to stick with the 1 teaspoon just because I'm not going to throw it off. So next we're going to add some erythritol. This is Swerve. This is a name brand erythritol that we're going to use for our sugar substitute, which is going to be 1/2 cup of erythritol. And that's going to give it that sugary sweet cake flavor. Because what's a cake without sugar, right?
A keto cake.
A keto cake, yeah, right? Aren't we glad we have these things now? Great. And then we are going to cream the butter. So, my handy dandy mixer over here. And creaming the butter just means we're going to blend it up with the sugar until it's a nice creamy consistency. And hopefully my butter's good. There we go. Start on a low because you don't want things to fly all over the place.
So that mixer looks like it's got some history to it.
It's an old mixer. This is my original Sunbeam from when I was like moved out in my first apartment. So this thing's probably maybe 25 years old, maybe.
Hey,
Still works. Still works just fine. If it ain't broke.
don't replace it.
Yes, correct. So that is creamed butter with the sugar. And then we are gonna add 3 eggs. Heavy whipping cream. And whip again, so everything's nice and fluffy. And then what we're gonna do is, in batches, we're gonna add a little of our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients. So yeah, just start doing that. And I'll just keep on slow here while you're adding that. Okay.
See, I would bet too that you could even, put these in like little cupcake tins and make some little single servings.
I would imagine those would be good. I would probably do them in maybe in like a silicone type cupcake holder, just because once you add the leches to it, you're gonna get a spongy custard type texture. So a cupcake paper cupcake holder probably would not be the best idea. So, all right, we're gonna put this in our cake pan. The recipe did say a 9-inch circle cake pan, and I have an 8x8 square cake pan, so this is what we're going to use today. I'm lining it with parchment so that it does not scorch.
Nice pre-cut parchment.
Yeah. Cakes are fun to do with kids. If you have kids in the house, this is one of those baking options that it's not a lot of ingredients. They can get involved, they can mix. So it is kind of a thick consistency. This is, I assume, the right consistency. It did say it was going to be thick, so that's all right. This is going to go into the oven that has been preheated at 325, and it's going to be in there for 30 to 40 minutes. I am probably going to err on the side of 40 minutes because I do want this really cooked and firm, just because once you add the milk to it, if it's not cooked all the way through, you're just going to it's going to fall apart probably. How's that looking?
That's looking pretty good.
Okay, so that's going to go in the oven.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, this is our Tres Leches cake. That is the cake part of it. I actually had it in the oven at 325 it was about 45 minutes. I checked it at 30 and it still looked really white, so I put it in a little bit more. At 40, it was like, I could give it more. So we're gonna check it with a toothpick though, because what you want the toothpick test is basically you take a dry toothpick, put it in the center of the cake. If it comes out with nothing on it, it's done. So we're gonna check that. I'm gonna put it right in the center, come out, and that is a clean toothpick.
Oh yeah.
So that is done. It's gonna cool for at least 15 minutes, might give it a little more. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna poke some holes in it, like poke cake. You've heard of poke cake before? Yeah, so we're gonna poke some holes in it. The recipe that we're getting this from advised to gently flip it on your serving bowl and then put the milk over the top. I think I'm gonna leave it in the pan.
Okay. Why not?
I'm gonna leave it in the pan because the magic of Tres Leches, if you've ever had Tres Leches, is the milk is absorbed into the cake. And I just feel like if I flip it on a serving tray, the milk's gonna go.
Right.
And I think the milk needs to stay in here. So I'm leaving it in. I'm not following the recipe completely with that. And we'll see how that is. We'll let that cool. We'll put the milk over the top, and then there is a beautiful heavy whipped cream frosting that goes on top.
All right, I can't wait. Sounds delicious.
All right. So our cake has cooled. So we are gonna pour our milk mixture on top of it, and then we're gonna create our whipped cream frosting.
Oh, all right.
So the milk is going to be a mix of almond milk. We're gonna do half a cup of almond milk. This is unsweetened almond milk, which is not bad. And then we're gonna do half a cup of coconut milk.
Yum.
So you can, we found this, you can use the canned coconut milk. Try to go for the full fat. Don't get low fat coconut milk. That's silly. Silly. So we're gonna do half a cup of the coconut milk. And we already have heavy cream in the cake, and we're gonna top it with cream too. So that is the Tres Leches.
Tres Leches.
Got coconut milk, almond milk, and heavy whipping cream.
All right.
And then we're gonna put 10 to 12 drops of liquid stevia for some sweetness, depending on how sweet you like. I'm gonna go with 10 because I'm a less sweet person. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go with that. I'm just gonna give that a little bit of a mix there.
It's a great technique you got there.
I know, right? Gotta do what you gotta do. All right, we're gonna poke the cake, and this is so we can get more of that milk mixture into the middle of the cake. You want as much of it in the cake, and then it makes that
Nice custardy kind of texture.
custard texture, yeah. So we poked holes, and we'll pour our milk. We're gonna try to be as slow and even as possible. I'm gonna try to get in the corners there too. I want it everywhere. Getting those fork holes. Fork holes. How exciting is this? And I'm gonna let that sit for a little while. So it can soak up. In the meantime, we're gonna make our whipping cream. So we're gonna do half a cup of heavy whipping cream. Nice and thick, full fat. We're gonna do another about 10 drops of liquid stevia.
Now, this would also go good like in a cup of coffee,
Well, yeah,
right? Yeah.
especially if you added some
Some
vanilla
vanilla.
extract.
There you go, exactly.
Because everyone loves vanilla extract. So we're gonna put half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then we're also gonna put half a teaspoon of xanthan gum.
Xanthan gum. Now what are we doing that for?
So when you whip heavy whipping cream, it's gonna get frothy and it's gonna look like the Cool Whip or
like whipped cream.
Yeah, whipped cream. This is what's gonna firm it up and give it more stiffness to it. So it's gonna get more of a frosting texture than just what whipping cream would do.
Cool.
So that is why we're adding that. And the xanthan gum is a powerful
Yep.
mix. So
A little bit goes a long way.
little is better than more. So we're gonna go half a teaspoon. I'm gonna do a little less than half a teaspoon because it goes a little far for me. I kind of like it a little less, but it helps. And then we're gonna get our handy dandy hand mixer out, and we're gonna whip this till we get soft peaks, or firm peaks actually. We're gonna get firm peaks with this. So firm peaks, you see where it's, that's a firm peak. So once you have firm peaks, you frost your cake. Spread that out nice and whippy. So this is going to be a pretty plain cake, but if you want to spruce it up a little bit, I recommend you could put a little dab of cinnamon over the top.
Maybe some shaved chocolate.
Some shaved chocolate would actually be
Some
pretty
nice
good.
bitter chocolate on there would be tasty.
Couple berries. I saw maybe like a little bit of raspberry or some blueberry or pitted cherries. A couple of pitted like dark cherries. You could do a couple of dried fruits. I don't recommend dried fruits too much just because of the higher sugar content. But some fresh berries might be bad. Not bad. I think I'm also going to try this with just a little bit of sugar-free caramel syrup.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going to try that because caramel syrup. That is our completed Tres Leches cake. And we're going to cut this up and plate this. Try a bite of that.
Sounds like a great idea to me.
Awesome. Aw, yeah. All right.
All right, let's dig in. Let's find out. Let's see. Take
Cheers.
a look. Cheers. Look how moist that is. That's really good, right? Let's give it a shot.
All right, here we go.
Look, it's really like the whipped cream has got such a nice creamy texture to it, and it's not like, it sounds weird, right? The nice creamy texture for whipped cream, like who would have thought? But it's different than like what you would just whip up, regular whipped cream. I mean, this has a different mouthfeel to it. I really like it. And then there's a little bit of lusciousness that you get from the coconut milk. Just adds another layer of flavor to that whipped cream. That's really good. The the milk that we put into the Tres Leches, like the stuff that we poured on top, really does a nice job getting in there. Makes everything nice and moist. It definitely gets that kind of creamy, custardy texture to it that I think that we're looking for. It's spot on. It's a hit.
So it's, I mean, you got the almond flour, so it's got a little more nuttier texture than
Right.
a straight up cake. It's gonna have that, but yes, it also does a really good job of absorbing the milk flavors. It's not too sweet, and we did opt for sprinkling some cinnamon on the top, and I think it's perfect with that.
Oh, absolutely.
I think the cinnamon just gives it that a little more authentic flavor to it.
And I think what we'll do too is we'll pop this in the fridge and maybe we'll check back a little bit later on it, because I have a suspicion that if we let it sit and chill, that it's gonna actually gel a little bit more.
Yeah, I have a feeling. Yeah, usually you want to chill your Tres Leches.
Yeah, but it was too good to pass up now.
We had to give it a shot.
Right.
Oh, awesome.
Awesome.
Well, if you enjoyed this recipe and you want to see some more, be sure to subscribe and
And like.
hit that little notification bell at the bottom. And we'll see you next time.